Ridiculous. If you earn more than 31,000 pounds, and let me first welcome my guest, Naveen Chopra, is chairman of the Chopras, a global education company. We've had many debates in the past. Tonight he's back from Hyderabad. Lord Meghnad Desai with the earphones on a Skype connection, which I hope is great tonight from Leicester. Lord Meghnad Desai, no earphones. Keith Vaz with the earphones, chairman of the House Affairs Committee of the House of Commons and a British Member of Parliament. He disagrees with the policy. Thank you for joining me. Lord Meghnad Desai from our studios in London. No earphones, I'm sorry. None for you. KC Singh, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, supports the policy of the British government. Oh my God. And Dilip Tahil is a well-known actor and, of course, lives in Britain when he's not doing theatre in Mumbai. Thank you very much, Dilip. It's good to see you. Thank you, Arnav.
Lovely to be here.
Your question is that I don't understand this, KC. You know, I'm told that you support the policy of the British government. How can you support a policy which determines the quality of a person by his earning capacity?
I'm not supporting the British government. I have a nationalistic view on this. I said a great country, a rising economy should be able to absorb all its people who have the requisite skills. Yes. And we shouldn't start cribbing, because tomorrow if you start getting Bangladeshis and other neighboring people coming into India, why do we pick up the first Bangladeshi we catch, and we immediately start saying, why is he coming to our country? And when economic times are bad, I am only saying let's understand the context. During bad economic times, you always find pressure coming locally for local jobs to go to local people. It may not be right, because we do take it up. Even when they are wanting free trade, there should be free movement of people. But that's in the ideal world. But in an imperfect world, we should not start bemoaning every time it happens, because I don't hear China doing that.
No, I mean, as far as your comparison to Bangladesh is concerned, with all respect, if, you know, given most people from Bangladesh who enter India, unfortunately, given the illegal infiltration which have been going on, don't even have the requisite papers. That's not the question. Question is this. Keith Vaz, this policy says that if you're a wealthy resident, you can marry whoever you like. If you're not wealthy, goodbye. It's goodbye to you. It's outright differentiation among people based upon income and economic standing, isn't it?
It is, well, and it's a pretty awful policy. I don't support it. I think it's very bad to have an economic basis for spouses. I'm now in Leicester, which is the most diverse city in the whole of Europe, and there are people who clearly do not earn the kind of money that is expected of them to earn. I'm about to start a surgery where I will see my constituents, very few of whom will have an average income of £18,000, and almost all of whom will be coming to see me for immigration issues. That's why I think it's very important that my committee is able to examine what Damien Green and the government is proposing to do, and I think that we should put it out to the community as a whole. Of course I understand why you should have concerns about people who wish to come and work for a short period, who then wish to stay on. Every country needs to have a immigration policy that is firm but fair, and where you have people like actors and professionals who want to come for a short period, we should go out of their way to help them. But I think to try and stop spouses coming in means that the state is actually interfering into the personal.
Life. Yes, and that's completely ridiculous. Which means that if you are, say, a mid-income or a low-income Indian, Pakistani, or Bangladeshi, then you can't get married, Lord Meghnad Desai. But if you are, for example, a Greek or an Australian, a Greek or for that matter,
not Australian,
not Australian, a Dutch,
not Australian.
You may be a poor Norwegian.
Austrian.
No, please explain to me, Lord Meghnad Desai. We thought the UK is a cosmopolitan country. This country today says that if you're a mid-income or low-income Norwegian or Swedish or Dutch or Greek or Italian, you can get married. But unfortunately, if you are in that category and you're an Indian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi, you have no right to get married. I mean, this is completely unacceptable, Lord Desai. What's going on there?
First of all, because a lot of unskilled labor can come from within the European Union, I mean, there's Romania, Bulgaria. There are a lot of unskilled people ready to come into UK. UK no longer needs unskilled labor from outside the EU. That's the first thing. Now, I think I agree with Keith Vaz that this anti-immigration policy is bad. But it was already started by Labour Party when it was in power. You know, the whole reaction against immigration has been going on for a while. It's very, very bad, but this is the reality. Now, the decision now is only highly skilled people are required from outside the EU.
No, but how?
It's not just Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. No, it is all of Latin America.
No, but how does the UK decide that?
Canada,
then the UK. Then wait 1 minute. When Ratan Tata invests in the UK, when Indian companies invest in the UK, then it's all right.
Sure.
But if today a very talented Indian student sent to a top British university, for example, by Mr. Naveen Chopra's education consultancy, wants to on par fight to get a great entry-level job in the UK, he will be told, no, you can't get the job, you can't stay on in the UK, you are competition, we don't need, go back.
That is true.
That means UK is basically closing its doors, isn't it? Naveen Chopra, what's your take?
Yeah, well, actually, in actual fact, if you really think about it, they are hoist on their own petard, because, this is like globalization being rolled back. I mean, on the one hand, you have these guys coming and saying globalization. When the university seats were vacant, I mean, then the doors opened up wide, and they got international students, filled the classroom with Chinese and Indians and other Asians. When there were skill shortages in critical areas, when it was labor shortages back in the 50s and 60s, they opened the doors wide open and brought in illiterate labor, who then went and settled and colonized entire suburbs. For example, Southall in London, when that suited it, the doors got slammed shut. Now the economy is bust. The capitalistic model, which is now been exposed as my profit is my profit, my loss is your loss. I mean, there's no real thinking that seems to be going on in all of these policy changes. Having said that, as far as the Indian students are concerned, while things have been tightened, I have to say that in all fairness, there are avenues that are opened up also. For example, in the previous work policy, Indians were allowed to work post-graduation for 2 hours to 2 years, but most of the time they didn't find jobs within their area of studies, because there was a rule that was in place which said that the company that was employing the Indian or foreign student had to prove to the department that there was no one available within the EU, not just within the UK, but within EU of similar skills. Now that's been taken off. So employers now no longer have to prove that proposition. So technically, if an Indian graduates and goes out and seeks a job, and an employer says, yes, you're suitable, he will get the job. And then, of course, this bar that is there, part of the reason that this is happening is that Britain still is a society that has an underlay and an overlay of a social network. So if you are unemployed, you are below you're below certain income thresholds, you get support. That's in actual fact the underlying reason, because but at the same time, this is askewed. This is absolutely askewed.
No, there is a fear of being run over. I think that's at the end of it. There is at the root. It's not only economic. I think, Dalip Tahil, it's a fear of being run over.
I think there's a bit of an overlap here. What I
read was that there's also a fear. That is true.
One minute, Naveen Chopra. Just want to get Dalip Tahil into the debate. If they are worried about being run over, then that's a real concern. But we need to look at whether that's the concern.
Absolutely, that is. But what I read of it was that over a period of 5 years after working there, which implies that you have entered on the highly skilled migrant program. But the virtue of the fact that you enter on a highly skilled migrant program suggests that you will be earning a certain amount in the UK.
Yeah.
Now it says that I don't agree that it should be 31,000. I'm not qualified to say that the minimum should be £31,000 or whatever. But the 5 years permit that then allows you to stay permanently has got to do with the highly skilled migrant program, which does not apply to students. What has happened is harsh on students that they're not automatically allowed to work after they do their students, they get their degrees, or after their student visa expires. Now that is a question of absolutely, it's very clear that Damon Green and the government is trying to clean up and try to ease the pressure of basically a welfare system that is groaning under the pressure of misuse and theft. So I also don't agree that you should have a sort of an income minimum to have a spouse, but there has to be something that's got to be done, because at this stage, there's a system that's just falling apart because there's misuse. And it affects, to suggest that it will only affect Indian students in itself is a little sort of
no, certainly not.
It's going to affect all people from the EU. And if you're a genuine student and you want to come there and study, and if you are so good at what you do, then a British company that wants to hire you can give you a visa and you can stay on.
Sure.